Coming up on Mountain News this morning, Kentucky's Lieutenant Governor works with students to improve the mental health of kids across the Commonwealth. And bouts of warmer temperatures this winter lead to an increase of Kentuckians facing issues with their allergies.
Dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News this morning.
Good morning. It is almost 6 o'clock on your Monday. I'm Dakota Makris. Thanks for getting your week started with us. Let's head over to our special guest this morning, meteorologist Cameron Aaron, for a look at a forecast this morning. Cameron, welcome.
Well, thanks for having me, Dakota.
You know, it's always a joy when you fill in.
Well, I appreciate that. I appreciate that a lot. I feel like I always bring some kind of weather with me. It's either winter weather, or today, in this case, it's going to be windy weather. We do have a first alert weather day in place for the possibility of some strong winds on your Monday. Here's a live look right now, though, overlooking portions of Hazard. Current temperature 46 degrees, but temperatures will continue to warm up as we go into this morning as a warm front continues pushing off to the north. 47 for Prestonsburg, but already 54 in Monticello. So you can see that warm air continues pushing off to the north and east. Up on radar, most of us are quiet this morning, but a few showers are possible near I-64 over portions of Lawrence and Elliott and Rowan counties this morning. And like I said, we are in a first alert weather day as we are watching out for the potential for some winds up to 40 or 50 miles per hour by this afternoon and evening. And again, that could be outside of any showers and storms that we see. We could see possibly some showers later on today, not looking at a huge severe weather threat, but we could see some gusty winds. That is why we have a wind advisory in place until later on tonight. Full details coming up in just a little bit. Dakota?
All right, Cameron, thank you. A combined 880 bills have been filed in Frankfort for this legislative session, with 594 of them originating in the House. The filing deadline for new bills has passed, and lawmakers have just about a dozen days left to pass some high-profile ones before the veto period. Chad Hedrick has a look at where things stand in Frankfort.
With just a dozen days left for lawmakers to pass bills in Kentucky and just a handful passed and signed into law, it is setting up to be a busy few weeks in Frankfort. Earlier this month, Governor Beshear approved changes to the income tax that sets up the 0.5% cut that took effect in January and also next year's further 0.5% cut. The income tax will drop from 4.5% to 4%, and it will likely go down from that in future years as long as certain financial triggers are met. While Beshear says he would have liked to have seen a reduction in the sales tax, and this bill could have impacts to funding state services down the road, it still saves money for Kentucky families.
While there are some long-term repercussions, I have one bill in front of me, one bill about whether or not we can help our people at this time of high inflation.
With public education, lawmakers are working to address Kentucky's teacher shortage. House Bill 319 is described as a first step and loosens some certification requirements to attract out-of-state educators or people with knowledge in a certain field.
If we weren't in this situation, we wouldn't consider that, but we are in this situation. And are you better off having somebody that's got a bachelor's degree in math, who has work experience in a math class teaching math, than having a long-term substitute?
Activist group Kentuckians for Medical Marijuana continue to encourage Kentuckians to call lawmakers in support of passing legislation beyond an executive order signed by Governor Beshear. Representative Jason Nemes tweeted last week he is working to get support in the Senate, where legislation has died after passing in the House. In Frankfort, Chad Hedrick, WKYT.
A bill legalizing and regulating sports betting has been filed. Like medical marijuana, it has passed the House before, but has not been heard in the Senate. President Robert Stivers has previously said he doesn't believe there is enough revenue potential to make it a priority. A new edition of Issues and Answers will be featuring a Floyd County native this week. Kentucky State Treasurer Allison Ball joined anchor Steve Hensley to talk about Kentucky politics and current events. She says the region is still home for her, and she hopes rebuilding from the flood will move faster.
We went out in Wayland, I'm from Floyd, so it was good to be home. And then we came to Perry County right after that. So, you know, we were doing boots on the ground stuff, but I do think there's some great needs. I mean, it's obvious there are great needs that are still unmet, and we need to do everything we can to get out there fast.
Ball is also a Republican candidate for state auditor in the upcoming election. Well, this edition of Issues and Answers will air tonight at 7 o'clock right here on WYMT. Lieutenant Governor Jacqueline Coleman is working with Kentucky students to improve the mental health in children in schools across the Commonwealth. Well, the Team Kentucky Mental Health Initiative has launched 10 regional summits across Kentucky to hear directly from students and mental health experts on how to improve assistance in schools. The Lieutenant Governor says the summits are entirely student-driven and has opened doors to improve mental health in Kentucky students. And recently, she announced $18 million in federal funding will be used to further expand mental health access to students in several counties across Kentucky.
This announcement and the critical work that will follow represents the best of us, because now is the time to invest heavily in our students, beyond the tangible objects like facilities and textbooks, but in the whole child.
And next month, the Lieutenant Governor will be alongside the U.S. Surgeon General to present the work done through these student-driven summits. Allergy season is underway across the state of Kentucky due to warmer temperatures scattered throughout the past month. The Asthma and Allergy Foundation of America says more than 50 million people in the U.S. have allergy symptoms. Family practice physician Dr. Jeff Fox says while allergies can't be prevented, they can be managed by medication, but he advises those who do take allergy medication to be mindful of what they're using.
There's some nasal sprays over the counter that you can shrink your nose down, things like Afrin, and those are okay short term, 24, 48 hours to give you some quick relief. But if you get using them all the time, you're going to end up making your symptoms worse.
Most allergy symptoms resemble symptoms of COVID-19, so during the season, Dr. Fox suggests people be extra cautious to prevent the spread. Hundreds of people came out to celebrate Black History through prayer in Lexington yesterday. The group Women in Worship held its annual event, Lift Every Voice, at the Church of God on Georgetown Road. Jeremy Toms attended the service. He shares the sights and sounds of the event.
The Church of God in Lexington was filled with hundreds of people on Sunday, worshiping, singing, and praying. Over 35 churches were represented. Several priests and apostles alike did their best to lift every voice in the building.
As my pastor says, how many of y'all love Jesus in the house?
But as they prayed for a prosperous present and future, they also looked back on an unjust past for people of color.
From 1501 through 1867, 12.5 million Africans were stolen from their country. It was the largest forced migration in recorded human history.
That included Lexington's indelible ties to the slave trade.
They were selling slaves on the cheap side.
City and state leaders joined in to hear from these speakers, and Governor Andy Beshear says it's because of that history that these events need to be attended by all Kentuckians.
You know, this country has been built by everyone, yet our history all too often leaves different groups out or doesn't celebrate important moments. Making sure that we tell history accurately helps us not repeat mistakes from the past, but also helps us to be better moving forward.
That was Jeremy Toms reporting. Governor Beshear also addressed the audience about what he'd like done to support communities of color, that including bringing universal pre-K to Kentucky and creating more job opportunities in the Commonwealth to build a diverse workforce.